What's up, everyone? This is your favorite barista of Sports Talk coming to you live and uncut, and as always, unfiltered, straight from the kitchen. We have a lot to get into tonight, especially after that Dallas beatdown last night. Just give me a second. I just brewed up a nice cup of coffee. I whipped up my cream. I'm going to pour that in real quick. Uh, and we're going to dive right into that beatdown. Uh, and obviously a couple of hours have gone by, and it really hasn't helped. And there's a lot of perspectives that people want to talk about into why that took place last night. And, there's a lot of blame going around, a lot of finger pointing going on. And, a lot of positional groups and a lot of players deserve it. Even the coaches, a lot of the coaches deserve it too. But I don't even think that that's the main issue. Okay. The main issue is that, and if we want to be honest and we want to talk about it as we move into a more comfortable setting, I'm going to get comfortable with my viewers out there, with my fans, is that, see, people, what happened was Howie Roseman, by yours truly, was put on 72-hour notice to go ahead and make a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars. 72 hours to do it. And you know what? Not only did that not happen, the trade does go down involving Jalen Ramsey and the Jacksonville Jaguars to the LA Rams. Before it goes down, Jacksonville calls Howie Roseman and says, Howie, do you want to match this trade? It's a first, and a fourth. And ours truly says no. Right there, we lost the Dallas game. See, people, it doesn't matter if you're coaching or constructing a professional team, a college team, a high school team, elementary team. As soon as the people involved in that team construction or coaching allow just a little bit of doubt to creep in, a little bit of doubt, thinking maybe this team isn't good enough, you then have a bigger issue. And that's what took place. The players leading up to that trade here in Philly were waiting for a boost. They were waiting for a trade to go down, thinking in their minds that we're one really, really good player away. He can instill some energy. He can bring maybe an attitude. He can bring something to the team that we're lacking for this year's team. And it doesn't happen. And that's the shame of the matter. See, this solid locker room is not the same locker room as last year's team. It's not the same locker room as 2017, the Super Bowl team. This is a completely new team, new locker room, yet a team full of veterans and one of the oldest rosters in the NFL. And when I say that, you would never expect something as doubt to pop up and cause such a problem, but it does. And that's the lesson that we're all learning here in Philadelphia, hopefully across the nation, is that just one slimmer of doubt can cause a major issue and derail your team for that year moving forward. And to make matters worse, it doesn't stop there. All the negativity that can come with the doubt occurs. Snitching happens, releasing information to outside sources, not showing up to meetings on time, not coming to practices on time, to the point of last night when the game was done. Everyone could be in bed by now, or they're flipping and watching something new, paying not all their attention to the post-game interviews. Some people writing up what they're going to spat about the next morning on the radio or on TV, or where they're going to write about what, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Yours truly, your favorite barista, is listening. And he's diving in, trying to listen for any of that negativity that could possibly be there. And you know what? It happens. Lane Johnson giving an interview last night explaining how the team is going to have to come together for a team meeting and iron out issues of accountability. Accountability meaning that players were coming late for meetings and practices. And it's time to hold everyone accountable to go into this week's game of with the Buffalo Bills, who, by the way, only have one loss. Now, I bring that up because here's the crazy point. Because it's like a disease. It's like the plague. As one little thing happens, the doubt happens. It's funny how that negativity keeps on building, and building, and building, and building, and it's getting worse. And you may not think it is, but it is slowly. You may not think it's there, but it's there. And this disease, this sickening, bad negativity piece of being a bad teammate or bad locker room or bad culture is starting to settle in, because it's funny. Today on live radio in an interview, we have another team leader in a discussion explaining the whole interview with Lane Johnson. And it's funny that he did not agree with Lane Johnson. He did the complete opposite and disagreed. He disagrees to the point of saying he has no clue. He has no evidence. Can't say a player's name off the top of his tongue to say that a player was late for a meeting or a practice. So when we look at the final score and we watch the game like we all did last night and we sit back, now are we all shocked that that happened? Are we shocked that the week before that this happened? 2 weeks in a row where we completely not only get our butts handed to us, we just don't show up. And I'll go back to the point that I made in saying that this is a veteran group, one of the oldest rosters in the NFL. How is this ever happening? And that's the lesson. The lesson in allowing negativity to pop in and take over. We have leaders on both sides of the ball telling two complete stories about what's going on in that locker room. And that's a shame. So yeah, we could pick apart how Carson Wentz played last night. We could pick apart how bad the linebacker play last night was. We can pick apart how going into the game last night, Sidney Jones was the last guy on the depth chart in the cornerback position group. The last one. We can talk about who's getting cut today and was shown the door today. And it's a shame that out of the guys that are already been cut and told to leave, the one guy that should have been told was Nelson Aguilar, and he's still here. We could talk about all that, but that's just little pieces to explaining what is going on. That's not the reality. The reality is that there's an issue inside this locker room, and it's an issue started by upper management. And to be honest, they still haven't come in and made a move to make this team any better. If anything, they keep on taking away guys to make this team worse. You knew that Dallas going into this week, you knew Dallas was going to run the ball. You had to stop Ezekiel Elliott. And the one thing that you choose to do is you get rid of Zach Brown, who was talking about Kirk Cousins the week before. On top of that, you get rid of another linebacker, LJ Fort, who was just starting for the Baltimore Ravens, and he had 6 tackles on the day against Seattle. The same guy that couldn't see the field or we couldn't find a reason to put him on the field. He wasn't good enough on our team, but he's good enough to not only suit up and play, he's playing major minutes, and he's second on the team in tackles against the Seattle Seahawks, who only had 1 loss going into that game this weekend. The same guy that we showed the door to and said, see ya, for nothing. We could talk about another piece to the roster piece in saying how we're spending our money. You know, the decision making in choosing who to give money to and who not to give money to, that's a big discussion too. And we can talk about that for hour after hour, but that's not even the issue. Yes, we allowed Jordan Hicks to walk out of our building, the middle linebacker who we drafted, who couldn't stay healthy for us. We allowed him to walk out. We didn't want to pay him $9 million. But we go ahead and re-up Nelson Aguilar for the same $9 million and give him one more opportunity on the year. And that is not working out. Jordan Hicks leads the NFL in tackles, and Nelson Aguilar leads the NFL in the lowest percentage of drop balls caught in the wide receiver group along the whole NFL. If you want facts, I'll give you facts, people. But I'm not here to do that. I'm here to show the show you and enlighten you and sit down with you and calm everything down and tell you that the issue going on has started from Howie Roseman. Now, let's take, for instance, the same Malcolm Jenkins. It's the same guy who wants a new contract. Rip up his contract now. He outplayed his contract. Okay. So let's continue on with Malcolm Jenkins. He's a team leader. He's been here for years, and he wins the 2nd Super Bowl. First one with the Saints and the second with us, with the Eagles. Knowing that he's coming to the near end of his career, possibly coming to the end of his Eagles career, do you think for 1 second that he's going to now want to dive in and take part of this nonsense? No. He's the same guy that wants to win. He's the same guy that thinks, okay, if this is going to be it, this is going to be it. And I'm going to go down swinging. So when you have a Howie Roseman who's considering making a trade for Jalen Ramsey, you have a Malcolm Jenkins who knows in the back of his mind that the cornerback position is weak. And granted, we've dealt with injuries. We dealt with concussions. We dealt with the POP, all in the same positional group. And we had to play Rasul Butler, and we had to play Sidney Jones, and we had to play a no-name guy in Greg James, and we had to bring a guy off the couch, literally right off of this couch. Starts an NFL year on this couch, and he jumps right onto an NFL field. Mind you, he's now cut. And we were playing him, starting him. So the same guy knows how bad this positional grouping is, knows how good Jalen Ramsey is, knows that what one player would do for this 1 year, and you don't do it. And then not only are you putting doubt into the locker room, now individually, per player, per veteran, because this is one of the oldest rosters in the NFL. You've had guys here for years. You have one guy in particular that now, why am I going to play? I'm going to stay healthy. I need to get to my contract next year. They're already telling us, upper management, that we're not good enough. Hell, the prior 2 years, he's going out and made trades, major trades to make this team stronger. He hasn't done it. So I'm not going to. Why play? Why play 100%? Why show up? Why come to a meeting? Why come to practice? That's what it does, people. That's just one guy. That's just one guy. And you can go right down the line on how this is occurring, specifically to all the veterans that have been here through the years. Same thing with Jason Peters. Same thing with Kelsey. Same thing with Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox came into the year and he had surgery on his foot. He starts the year not 100%, yet everyone is bashing the guy. Why is he not producing to the way Fletcher Cox plays? Because he had surgery in the offseason. But we surround him with Malik Jackson, who gets hurt week 1. We surround him with Jimmy Jernigan, who is a great number 3. He gets hurt. We bring off from the Indianapolis Colts Hassan Ridgeway, who's now starting next to Fletcher Cox. We go to Miami and get Hakeem Spence, who's now out the door. And now, beyond that, we have nothing left. And we expect this man to go out and produce the way he's been producing, but he has no backups. He has no one next to him. He's facing double teams. The defensive ends can't beat single coverage. So going into everyone's game plan, it's so easy. We're going to double 91. We're going to take them away, and we're going to go single up on everyone else on our offensive line and take away the rest of the guys on the D line. Done. It's not a surprise. It's not that simple. It's not that hard. It's that simple, people. And I'm losing my mind and hearing and listening to all these people arguing and saying this and that and getting in the spats and trying to break down this game this way and that way. And again, people, this is why your barista's on with you tonight. Because it's not that. They want you to believe that. They want you to tune in every night. They want you to tune into all the nonsense. They want you to feed into the negativity, to feed into the nonsense. But that's not what's going on. Yes, Carson Wentz could play better, but the man's making every throw in a 20-yard box. I explained that last week. All you got to do on this team is now flip it over. If you're game planning against the Eagles' offense, you take away Zach Ertz and you go single up on every other guy on the offense, and they can't beat single coverage. Alshon Jeffrey is a shell of himself. Nelson Aguilar can't see the ball coming to him till it's close to him, and by then it's already hitting the ground. It's not that. So again, the simple thing is we could attack Carson Wentz, but I challenge anyone out there who is challenging him to go ahead and go through a whole football game and limit yourself to every throw within a 20-yard limit. Make every throw, every play for you is for nothing beyond 20 yards. The only 3 to 4 times will you be able to throw the ball beyond 20 yards. Outside of that, good luck. Every throw is going to be 20 yards and in. and we expect this man to produce, to play like an all pro, to be elite. Everyone wants to use the word elite. You can give me You can give me Aaron Rodgers, Philip Rivers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, and you could tell them the same thing. Limit every throw other than 3 or 4 throws. Limit the rest of them to 20 yards and see how they do. People, the issue is with the team and these guys. And it all started with our upper management. How we did this. Now, it could be very easy for him to now come back this week and make 2 different trades, one on offense and one on defense, and ramp it up and be ready to go for the rest of the year, for the rest of the 9 games, and say, we're going to be fine. But in reality, they expect that is slim to none. That's not going to happen. And to be honest, for one who thought that a trade should happen, a trade should not happen. We need to go through this, and we need to allow this year to happen. We need to flush out all the nonsense and all the guys that don't want to be here. We need to flush them out. We need to flush out the guys that are happy to have won their 1 Super Bowl and don't want to go ahead and fight and grind and get dirty and still have that mentality of a dog to still want to win a championship because they already have one. If that's the case, they can leave too. We need to flush that all out. And the young kids that have been drafted in the last year to 2 years, they're not that good either. They can leave too. Their contracts are cheap. It's not that expensive to get rid of them either. Need to flush this all out. And to be honest, some coaches can leave too. Starting with Al Groh and Unlin, you're the first 2 guys that can go. And Peterson needs to surround himself with guys that have bright minds, that know, that can get exotic, that have a mind for where the passing game is. It can't be back in the 1980s drawing up plays like we used to do back in the heyday, watching our grandpops and our fathers play. That's not the way of the NFL no more. And granted, it's not the way of the NBA no more. It's not the way of the NHL anymore, and it surely ain't the way of the baseball anymore. And that's what we have going on with Al Groh right now. Now, mind you, maybe he was thrust into this position and he wasn't ready for it, but someone had to take the title. Someone had to take that position, because when Boy Wonder in New England doesn't take the job in Indianapolis, and it opens up the door for Frank Reich to go, and he takes Steve Filippo with him, it forced us, the Eagles organization, Mr. Howie Roseman again, to make another decision, and it came down to Al Groh or Deuce Staley, and they chose Al Groh, and we kept Deuce Staley at the running back coaching job. People, I'm fired up. And I'm very, very disappointed in thinking that the derailment of this team comes from the same guy who was willing to go ahead and make sacrifices, make big time trades, wheel and deal, remake himself after the whole Chip Kelly ordeal happened. And now it's the same guy who's derailing this organization. I can't blame the guy who just left and took the GM spot with the Jets, because he didn't have final say on every decision. especially when it came to the draft. That's Howie's final decision. This falls on one guy. So that's how serious that issue was for those weeks leading up to Jalen Ramsey. It just wasn't about just making a trade. It wasn't about just filling a need. It was allowing your players to have upstairs with their minds to have a little more pep in their step, to give them upstairs, you know what, a little boost in their morale. For this team, maybe they needed that. Prior teams may have not have needed it, but this team needed it. And it really doesn't come down to the player that it was. Yeah, we all wanted Jalen Ramsey, but it could have been Chris Harris. It could have been Xavier Howard. It could have been, you name Dre Fitzpatrick. It could have been anybody. Someone was needed to come in and give this team a boost, and it has not happened. And that's the problem. That's the issue. And now we have team leaders bickering. And that's the crazy thing. This isn't high school. This isn't elementary. This is professional sports that we're talking about. Two leaders of the team, two individually, two big pillars on both sides of the ball with two complete different stories. And that is a telltale sign of something seriously going on inside that locker room. And pretty soon, this is going to fall on Doug Peterson as well. I told you from the beginning, fans out there listening tonight, sorry that it's coming to you live so late, but we were going to dive into issues. We weren't going to be afraid to X and O. There was timeouts being done in goal line situations last night and coming out of timeouts with 12 men on the field, running a guy off late so you didn't have to take a now second timeout. To the point now you're not prepared on defense and you give up a free, wide open. He was as wide as wide open could be. And that's what we were dealing with last night. And that's just one in particular piece to a lot of other issues that took place last night on the field. You know, we had holes for the linebacker that our young guy from Penn State, Miles Sanders, is too busy. Instead of hitting the hole, he's bouncing it. You know, in crucial situations where we need to run the ball, we need to have the guy who's getting us yards on the ground, and we don't have that guy on the field. We have our scat back on the field. That's coaching. That's a problem. We had last night, it got so bad that last night, the TV crew, the whole network, highlights Lane Johnson holding a meeting for offensive linemen, a seminar showing using NFL guys that he plays against and all their different moves that they make. And DeMarcus Lawrence was one of the guys that he was highlighting with the jab step in and bounce it out. So we're talking about you dive in and you come out. That's his move. That's his move. And now if you didn't know it, now you know it from last night's game, or you know it now because I'm highlighting. But how is it that it's the guy leading the seminars, leading those classes, highlighting the guy that he's playing against, highlighting that guy's favorite move, and he's getting beat on it? We could talk again, positional groups, we could talk players all we want. But I'm not here to do that. And this is not what this show is geared here for. That's the truth. We get down to the truth and we get down into facts. We We'll X and O when we need to. We'll dive into the material that people don't want to dive into. This is uncensored. The Eagles, the organization doesn't own this channel. I'm unafraid to talk about what the issues are. This isn't commercialized. The facts of the matter is there's issues going on with individuals on this team. This isn't a unit. This isn't a team. This locker room isn't what it used to be. Brandon Graham couldn't even be clear on that issue today because he knows he's in a tight spot too because he's been here through the years. He's probably in there trying to lead them right, but maybe he can't. It's an ongoing battle. They're worrying about this other nonsense going on than what they need to be worrying about. So I thank you, Mr. Howie Roseman, for what you've caused. You stirred all this up. Um, it's not a surprise that the beatdown happened last night. If it continues and nothing happens this week, it wouldn't be a shock to see me uh, coming on next week and talking about another beatdown in Buffalo because that's now a head coach out there who's doing a great job. He he thought he was going to be the head man here in Philly. McDermott thought that he was going to be the guy here in Philly, and we acted like we wanted nothing to do with him. Nothing. We were easy. We let him go real easy. There isn't going to it. There's probably nothing more sweeter to him than if he was able to hand Philly not only a loss, a beatdown in his home stadium this coming weekend. This team has it coming to him again, and it's coming from this time the head man because he was here as an Eagles assistant, and that bad taste is sitting with him, people. And he's going to have that team fired up. He's going to have that city fired up. That stadium is going to be rocking. That stadium isn't going to be heard as loud as it used since the years that they went to Super Bowl after Super Bowl with Kelly at quarterback. Back in the heyday. This place is going to be a zoo. Good luck. Because we have a team coming up there that can't even figure it out offensively, defensively, special teams. We can't figure out game plans. We can't even get on the same page on who's coming and who isn't coming to practice every day. And then again, there's only one guy you blame for that, people, and that's Howie Roseman. To close out the show tonight, since it's real late, tomorrow kickstarts the interviews on the show tomorrow. We have a great interview coming tomorrow. We have a head coach coming down from Bucks County Community College. The women's head coach, his name is Frank Copestick. It's his first year with the program. So we're going to dive in. We're going to find out a little bit about himself. You know, where he's played ball at, the experience that he's, from his coaching career and the experience he's had so far dealing with a women's team. We're going to dive into a lot. We're going to highlight Bucks County's school up there. So it's going to be a great show. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have a second interview back to back. We'll be down in Wilmington University, and I'll be with the assistant, DeLorean Hurd, down there, talking about the great experience that he has as an assistant down there for the men's basketball team. So now we're right back. We're into a lot of things here on the show. Interviews are now starting to pop off. We have a lot of things going on sports wise. We all the sports seem to be up and running right now, so this is a great time if you love sports. It's a great time to love it because you have all the sports up and running. We have college basketball starting off pretty soon. Everyone's still scrimmaging and practicing, so that's great. The interviews are going to come live at schools, So it's not going to just be here in the house no more. No, I'm going to bring you to the school. It's going to be a great experience. And then we still have the series going on getting your child a scholarship. The second topic is going to be coming shortly. So it's a great time for the show. I'm so excited. I'm getting all the extra coffee I can get because it's going to be just a crazy time period, so busy. I'm giving you, the fan, real material, live and uncut, unedited, unfiltered, uncensored. It's just a great time. I'm so excited. And again, if you have any questions and concerns, feel free to contact me personally, contact the show, my channel, my pages, my Facebook page, my Instagram, my Twitter. You can personally email me, and I'll make sure I hit that topic. If it's a question that you'd like to have me answer live, I can do that. And again, for any coach out there that's listening, if you are interested in going live with an interview, feel free to reach out to me. I'll come out to your facility. I will go live with you on air. We really won't dive in X and O wise, other than just highlighting who you are, how you run your show, and we'll just dive into great conversation. Recruiting conversations, the whole nine. So it's a great time. Again, this is your favorite barista coming to you live and uncut and uncensored. And again, brewing up great conversation. And until next time, it's your favorite barista.